She said, "If I want to spend the night out, I don't owe you an explanation." I said, "Then neither do I." She came home at noon the next day. I'd moved out. Everything gone. Just a note. Out indefinitely. No explanation needed. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. The last thread finally snapped at 11:07 p.m. on a Thursday. I was on the couch, a book open but unread on my lap. The silence of the apartment of physical weight. The clock on the cable box ticked over. She'd said she'd be home by 10 after a quick drink with the team. Her key didn't scratch in the lock. My text from an hour ago, "Hey, everything okay?" sat on red. Then the buzz of the intercom. I pressed the button. "Yeah, it's me. Let me up." Her voice was already edged, a brittle energy crackling through the speaker. 2 minutes later, the door swung open. She didn't look like she'd come from a corporate drink. She looked like a storm, barely contained. A little black dress I'd never seen. Heels that meant business. Her makeup sharper, redone. The scent of someone else's cigarette smoke clung to her jacket, overlaying the ghost of expensive gin. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice level. "How was it?" "Fine." The word was a door slammed in my face. She threw her clutch onto the kitchen counter, the clatter too loud in the quiet. I watched her pour a glass of water, her movements jerky. The worry I'd been stewing and began to curdle into something colder, clearer. "You said 10. I got worried." A sigh, heavy with theatrical exasperation. It ran late. We lost track of time. "Who's we?" I asked. "Maya and Chris from marketing." She stilled her back to me. "Just some people. You don't know them." A new chill settled in my stomach. For months it had been like this. A gallery of people I didn't know. Vague plans that materialized last minute. Her phone, which used to light up with our silly memes, now forever face down, buzzing with notifications from contacts saved as single emojis. I tried to be understanding. Her promotion to junior brand manager 6 months ago had come with a new social circle. Louder, faster, perpetually angled for the perfect Instagram story. I told myself it was a phase, the excitement of a new world. I'd been the anchor. I cooked the meal she forgot to eat, listened to her vent about office politics, handled the dry cleaning, the bills, the quiet, mundane maintenance of a shared life. I was the safe harbor she'd once called me, kissing my forehead. The memory felt like an artifact from a different civilization. "Look," I said, standing up. The book slid to the floor. I didn't pick it up. "It's a weeknight. You're dressed for a club, not a post-work debrief." "I'm not an idiot, Sarah. Just be straight with me. What's the plan? Are you going back out?" She turned then, and the look on her face wasn't guilt or contrition. It was pure, undiluted annoyance, as if I were a fly buzzing around a prize she was trying to enjoy. "Why does everything need to be an interrogation with you?" "Yes, Maya and some of the others are heading to Lux. I said I'd meet them now. It's past 11 o'clock. So, what? I have a curfew." She laughed, a short, harsh sound. "God, you're suffocating sometimes." The word landed like a physical blow. Suffocating for waiting up, for caring. I took a slow breath, the icy clarity spreading from my core. "I'm not trying to suffocate you. I just like to know you're safe. I'd tell you if I was going to be out all night. Well, maybe you should get a life of your own, and you wouldn't be so obsessed with mine." She fired back, grabbing her clutch again, checking her reflection in the dark microwave door. That was her latest refrain. Get a life. My life for 3 years had been us. My friends had become our friends. My hobbies had flexed to fit our shared time. I'd seen it as building something. She now framed it as a personal failing. "So you're going to Lux?" I stated, my voice flat. "And you'll be back." "When?" She whirled around, her eyes flashing. "I don't know when it's over. When I feel like coming home." She took a step toward me, not in intimacy, but in challenge. "Look, Let's get one thing crystal clear. I'm a grown woman. If I want to spend the night out, I don't owe you an explanation. Not to you. Not to anyone. This isn't a custody agreement. I'm not your child. The words hung in the air, toxic and final. They weren't just about tonight. They were a manifesto. They were the dismissal of every quiet worry, every gentle question, every shared responsibility, every silent promise that had built this home. They reduced 3 years of partnership to a prison guard and an inmate. I felt a strange, quiet click inside my head. The noise of anxiety, the hum of desperate love, the static of confusion. It all just stopped. A perfect, silent void opened up. In that void, there was only her statement, clean and sharp as a surgical blade. I looked at her, really looked, not at the woman I loved, but at the person standing in front of me, defiant, entitled, already halfway out a door I hadn't even realized was open. I didn't shout, I didn't plead, I didn't even feel angry. I just felt done. I nodded once, a small accepting motion. "You're right," I said, my voice so calm, it surprised even me. It was the sound of that internal void. "You don't." A flicker of triumph crossed her face. She'd won. She'd established her dominance. I met her eyes and delivered the corollary, the only logical response to her new rule of law. And then, "Neither do I." She blinked, the triumph faltering, replaced by a flicker of confusion that quickly hardened into a sneer. She thought I was being petulant, throwing a childish comeback. She didn't hear the finality in it. "Whatever," she scoffed, rolling her eyes. She adjusted her dress, a queen dismissing a jester. "Don't wait up." And with that, she was gone. The door closed with a firm, definitive thud that echoed in the hollow apartment. Silence. Not the anxious silence of waiting, but the profound, echoing silence of absolute conclusion. I stood there for a full 5 minutes, just breathing in the silence. The ghost of her perfume and cigarette smoke still lingered. The echo of her words, "I don't owe you an explanation," replayed on a loop. But now it sounded less like an attack and more like a user manual. Instructions for disassembly. A strange energy, cold and purposeful, began to course through me. The grief was there, a vast, dark ocean waiting to pull me under. But for now, I was standing on an ice floe of pure focus. I had to move before the grief thawed and swallowed me. I walked to the bedroom. We shared our room. I looked at the king-sized bed, the mismatched nightstands, hers cluttered with skincare, mine with a book and a watch. The framed photo on her dresser from a trip to the coast 2 years ago. Our faces wind-whipped and happy. It all life of a couple, Surette pretended. I didn't touch her things. They were no longer my concern. From the top shelf of the closet, I pulled down my old sturdy suitcase and a set of moving boxes I'd kept from our last move. I started with my closet. Clothes, shoes, belts, methodical, efficient, no hesitation. Each item folded or placed, not with sentimental care, but with the practicality of a soldier breaking camp. The boxes began to swallow my books, my vinyl records, the small toolbox my dad gave me, the framed diploma, the goofy ceramic mug I'd made in a college pottery class. Around 1 a.m., my phone buzz. A text from her. "Maya's phone is dead. Charging at the bar. Just so you don't send the cops. Having fun. Don't be mad." I read it. The old me would have felt a pain, would have texted back, "Please be safe." The new May saw only a notification, an update from a distant satellite that was losing signal. I didn't reply. Instead, I went to my phone settings and changed her contact name from Sarah Redart to S. Then, I opened the banking app and transferred my half of the last paycheck into my personal savings account, separate from our dwindling joint fund for future trips. The numbness, was a superpower. It let me move through the apartment like a surgeon, removing the vital organs of my former life. I took my PlayStation, my laptop, my headphones. I left the TV we'd bought together, the fancy stand, the decorative pillows she'd obsessed over. I packed the good knives my mother gave us, but left the pots and pans. I was curating a new existence, not looting the old one. In the living room, I paused before the bookshelf. Our books were intermingled. Carefully, I slid mine out, leaving gaps on the shelves like missing teeth. Her trendy novels, self-help guides, and photography books stood alone, suddenly looking lonely and forlorn. By 4 a.m., the physical work was largely done. A stack of 4 boxes and my suitcase sat by the front door. The apartment looked ransacked, but only in a specific, targeted way. My spaces were voids. Her spaces remained. A shrine to a person who wasn't coming back to the life she'd left. I sat at the now bare kitchen counter with the notepad. The blank page stared back. What was there left to say? All the pleas, the accusations, the questions. They were invalid under the new rules. She had written the terms. I picked up a pen. I wrote 5 words. Out indefinitely. No explanation needed. I didn't sign it. It needed no signature. The author of the philosophy was clear. I propped it against the empty fruit bowl on the counter. The only thing in the center of that wide, empty surface. A minimalist monument to the end. At 6 a.m., as a gray dawn bled into the sky, my buddy Leo's truck pulled up outside. I texted him an hour ago. Need a favor? No questions. He asked none. He helped me load the boxes and suitcase into the back, his face grim but understanding. He clapped me on the shoulder as I locked the apartment door for the last time and dropped the key through the mail slot. You okay, man? He asked as we pulled away. I looked out the window at the sleeping city. I will be, I said. And for the first time, I believed it. The new place was a furnished studio, smaller, brighter, overlooking a different street. It smelled of clean linen and possibility. Leo helped me haul my boxes inside. When he left, the silence returned. But this one was mine. It wasn't the silence of absence. It was the silence of a blank page. I took out my phone before I could think. Before the old, weak pain could resurface and suggest maybe I should wait. Maybe I should hear her out. I went to my contacts. I selected S. I pressed block contact. Then I opened Instagram, Facebook, Spotify. Every shared digital thread and severed them all, one by one. Block, delete, unfollow. A digital vanishing. By 8 a.m., I was a ghost in the machine of her life. The man who waited up, who worried, who cooked, who asked for explanation. He had ceased to exist. All that remained in that old apartment were the echoes of her own words and a note throwing them back, cold and exact. I sat on the floor of my new empty studio, my back against a box of books, and watched the sun fully crest the buildings. I didn't cry. I just breathed. The game she had invented was over. I had simply chosen to stop playing and walked off the field without a word. The silence in the studio was a living thing. For the first 2 days, it was a deafening roar. I'd conditioned myself for 3 years to listen for a key in a lock, a text chime, the cadence of her footsteps. Now there was only the hum of the mini-fridge and the distant city noise, a white noise that meant nothing. I didn't turn on the TV. I let the silence press in until it stopped being an absence and became a presence my own. I didn't break. I worked. I unpacked my boxes, placing books on the single shelf, hanging my clothes in the narrow closet. The sterility of the furnished space was a relief. There were no memories in the beige walls, no ghosts in the generic landscape print. It was a clean room in a mental hospital, and I was the sole patient administering my own cure. The first week was a lesson in tectonic shifts. The instinct to text her a funny billboard to ask what she wanted for dinner was a phantom limb aching and firing useless signals. Each time I'd feel the impulse, pause, and then deliberately do something for myself. I'd go for a run until my lungs burned. I'd cook a single steak, eating it straight from the pan. I'd reread a chapter of a book I loved. I was retraining my brain's reward system, divorcing it from the chemical dependency of us. I expected a tsunami of emotion, rage, despair, a weeping breakdown on the thin studio carpet. It never came. Instead, there was a profound and unsettling calm. The grief was there, but it was a quiet, sedimentary layer beneath the active soil of my new life. I realized the worst of the mourning had happened in the final months, while I was still beside her, watching the woman I loved slowly replace herself with a stranger. The actual leaving was just a formality. My phone, now a quiet tool, told a story of its own. The first day, there was nothing. The void I'd created held. On the evening of the second day, my screen lit up with a call from an unknown number. I let it ring out. A voicemail notification appeared. I deleted it without listening. The rules were the rules. On the third day, 2 calls from the same unknown number, followed by a text from a different one. Unknown number, 10:14 p.m. This is Maya. Sarah is freaking out. What the hell did you do? Call her. I stared at the text. What the hell did you do? The framing was perfect. In their narrative, I was the active agent of chaos. Her declaration of independence, her night out, my quiet dissolution of our life. These were not causal links. My action was an unprovoked earthquake. I felt a flicker, not of anger, but of cold satisfaction. The first flying monkey had been deployed. I blocked the number. The true outline of her unraveling came in fragments, a puzzle assembled from stray data points. A week after I left, I logged into the shared cloud storage we'd used for bills, a task I'd always handled. I needed a PDF of our old lease. The most recent uploaded file wasn't a bill. It was a screenshot uploaded from her phone 4 days prior. It was a text conversation with someone saved as JF Fire. J Fire, 12:03 p.m. Last night was wild. LOL. You good? Sarah, 12:15 p.m. I'm not good. My boyfriend moved out. He took everything. J Fire, 12:17 p.m. Damn. That's deep. Sorry about that. Sarah, 12:20 p.m. Can I see you tonight? I really need to not be alone. J Fire, 12:45 p.m. Hectic week, man. Swamped. Maybe next week. The exchange was dated the day after her night out, so JF Fire was likely the destination. And now with the drama turned real and messy instead of thrilling and secret, he was swamped. I downloaded the lease PDF and logged out of the cloud forever. A quiet archaeologist closing the tomb on my own past. The next data point came from Leo, who had a loose mutual friend with Sarah's circle. Ran into Tim at the gas station, Leo said over coffee, his voice careful. He said, Sarah's telling people you had a psychotic break, that you emptied the apartment in the middle of the night and vanished because you were jealous of her work friends. She's playing the victim card hard. I sipped my coffee. Let her. He also said that guy she's been seen with, some wannabe DJ or promoter or something. Jason, he's already over it. Apparently, he's got a reputation for chasing taken women for the sport. Once they're single, he loses interest. Tim said he saw Jason at a bar, hitting on someone else last weekend, while Sarah was there with Maya, looking like a thundercloud. I nodded. It was a clinical confirmation. The vibes guy was exactly as advertised. A hollow vessel for validation. Her grandstand for freedom had led her directly to a man whose entire personality was an exit strategy. The poetic justice was almost too on the nose. She also keeps asking everyone if they've heard from you, Leo added. Watching me, if you're okay. She sounds unhinged, man. Not sad. Angry. like you stole something from her. I did, I said, my voice flat. I stole her audience, her explanation, her chance to be the magnanimous one who figured things out. She wanted a drama where she was the star. I gave her a ghost story. Leo shook his head, a slow smile spreading. Your eyes cold, brother. It's kind of terrifying. It's not cold. I corrected him quietly. It's peaceful. The attempts evolved, as I knew they would, following the predictable path from confusion to bargaining to true color fury. Phase 1. The bureaucratic gambit. 3 weeks post-disappearance, my email, which I hadn't blocked, chimed with a message from her. Subject: Practical matters. From Sarah. We need to talk about the apartment lease. You are legally obligated for your half of the rent until we formally break it. I also need you to arrange for the removal of your remaining furniture. I cannot live like this. Please be an adult and contact me to settle these matters. I expect a response. It was perfectly framed. The aggrieved party forced to deal with the irresponsible child. The tone was all clipped efficiency, trying to lure me onto the familiar battlefield of shared responsibility, where she could regain leverage. She was speaking the language of the old world, not understanding it had been erased. I drafted a reply not to her email, but to the property management company, CCG. Her. I had researched this in my first week of silence. To whom it may concern. Please be advised that as of date I left, I have vacated the premises at old address. My ex-partner Sarah, last name, remains in residence. I hereby formally relinquish all claims and responsibilities under the lease, effective immediately. Any further communication regarding this property should be directed to Miss last name. Attached is a copy of my government ID and a signed letter of relinquishment. Sincerely, I sent it. A minute later, her email address erupted into my inbox with a flurry of replies, all desperate to undo it. Do not accept this. This is not agreed. We need to discuss. The professional veneer had cracked in under 60 seconds. I set up a filter to send all emails from her address directly to a folder labeled Archive. I never opened it. Phase 2. The emotional ambush. A month in, the voicemail came. She must have borrowed a phone from a stranger or bought a burner. The number wasn't blocked. Her voice was thick, ragged, a performance of shattered glass. Hey, it's me. Please just listen. I'm at the apartment and it's so empty. I can't sleep. I keep hearing the door and it's never you. What you did, it was so cruel, so final. I didn't mean it. Okay. What I said, I was stressed. I was drunk. I was an idiot. He was nothing. A mistake. You were my everything. My real life. Please. I just need to hear your voice. I need you to tell me why. Why would you do this to us? To me, after everything, just give me an explanation. One explanation, please. The hypocrisy was a sublime work of art. I need an explanation. The very commodity she had declared obsolete. Her voice broke on a sob at the end. The old me would have felt his heart tear in two. The new me listened with the detached analysis of a linguist. The subtext was clear. My new source of validation vanished, and the old one is not responding. This is inconvenient and painful. Restore my supply. I saved the voicemail, not out of sentiment, but as a benchmark, a before and after snapshot of her desperation. Then I deleted it and blocked the new number. Phase 3. The flying monkey attack. 2 days after the voicemail, my phone rang with a local number. I answered out of habit. Finally, a sharp female voice barked. Maya. Do you have any idea what you've done? You have completely destroyed her. Hello, Maya, I said, my voice neutral. Don't you hello me. She's a wreck. She can't work. She's crying constantly. You ghosted her like a coward over one stupid fight. What is wrong with you? Real men talk things out. I waited a beat, letting her fury echo in the void. She established the rules of the relationship, I said. my tone conversational, as if explaining a simple math problem. I followed them. The discussion is over. There was a sputtering silence on the other end. What? What rules? What are you talking about? If I want to spend the night out, I don't owe you an explanation. I quoted verbatim. She was very clear. I applied the principle universally. It seems fair. You can't be serious. That's insane. You're twisting her words to justify abandoning her. I'm not justifying anything, I said, the calm in my voice now a weapon. I'm stating a fact. She drafted the policy. I enacted it. The result is her problem to manage, not mine. Please do not contact me again. I ended the call. Block that number too. The fortress of my peace was quiet once more. Phase 4. The public confrontation. The ambush came 8 weeks after I left. I was leaving the gym on a Saturday morning. Sweat damp and pleasantly drained, headphones in. A figure stepped directly into my path. I looked up. It was Sarah, but a diminished, frayed version. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. Her eyes shadow-smudged as if from old tears. Not a fresh application. She wore leggings and an oversized sweatshirt that belonged to someone. Maybe JF Fire. Maybe just a souvenir from her newfound chaos. I pulled one headphone out. "Excuse me," I said, making to step around her. "You left me." The words were a raw accusation hurled at me in the bright sunshine of the parking lot. "You left everything." "What?" I stopped, looked at her. There was no love here. No fond memory. Just the person who had authored my pain, now standing in front of me, demanding an invoice for it. "I didn't leave you," I said, my voice even. "I exercised a clause in our informal contract. The no explanation needed clause. You drafted it." Her face contorted, confusion and rage battling. "That's not fair. That was in the moment. You're taking it out of context to punish me." "No punishment." I shook my head slowly. "Just precedent. You said it. I honored it. Now, if you'll excuse me." I moved to walk away. Her hand shot out, gripping my forearm. Her touch felt like a static shock. Unpleasant and alien. "Wait, you can't just... We have to talk about the security deposit. About us." I looked down at her hand until she released it. I met her eyes, and in my mind she must have seen the absolute void, the complete emotional vacancy where she once resided. "There is no us," I stated. "A simple report of the weather. There is you, and there is me. The connection you are referring to was terminated by you. The paperwork just took a night to process." Her desperation curdled finally into the true color anger I knew was underneath. The victim mask slipped, revealing the entitled architect of her own disaster. Her eyes narrowed, her lips pulled back from her teeth. "You're a heartless bastard," she hissed, the venom pure and undiluted. "I hate you. I hope you're alone forever." A small, almost imperceptible smile touched my lips. Not of happiness, but of recognition. Here was the unvarnished truth, the core selfishness that had driven the final act. The script was complete. "Noted," I said quietly. I put my headphone back in, turned up the music, and walked to my car. I didn't look back in the rearview mirror. The reflection ahead was all that mattered. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.